Part 1 of Kagurabachi has officially ended, so I thought it'd be the perfect time to break down every sorcery we've seen in the first part of the story. Quick refresher. In Kagurabachi, the power system is based around spirit energy. It exists in every person and can be trained into sorcery. Most sorceries are hereditary, like Isou for the Sazanami clan or the Flame Bone for the Kagure clan, though some techniques can be learned by anyone. For this video, I'm focusing on innate sorceries only. That means no general techniques and no enchanted blades, since those deserve a video of their own. Obviously, some major Kagurabachi spoilers ahead. With that out of the way, let's start with the very first sorcery introduced in the series. So Pine Tree Sorcery. Their users tend to be Yura and other Hishaku members. It allows the user to summon and manipulate pine trees in a variety of ways. You can create massive walls for defense or battlefield control. The user can also continue manipulating the tree after it's been created, such as using these branches to restrain Chihiro. It can also be used for interrogation by impaling the targets with the tree's sharp branches. The user can also put some seeds inside a target, and these seeds can remain dormant until a specific condition is met or until the user activates them manually. Pine Tree Sorcery seems like a pretty general use sorcery that can be used for a wide range of things. Number 2, we got Wicked Trick. This is used by Shiba. At first, Wicked Trick appears to be nothing more than simple teleportation. However, part 2 revealed that the sorcery is much more complex than that. Shiba is able to activate a momentary error on both himself and anything he touches. He can alter things like positional information or physical properties such as height and weight on both him and anything he touches. To me, I kind of imagine it like editing the properties of an object in a programming language, and this fan art by Arrive Medi basically predicted how Shiba's sorcery worked before part 2 revealed his sorcery. Then we have Armored Doll. This is used by the user Hokuto. It allows him to create armored dolls that can be controlled remotely. He can also create armor plating around his own body for protection. Then we have Invincible. It's used by Norisaku Madoka. It allows the user to create Dharma dolls that explode. Madoka can also transform himself into a Dharma doll that can also explode. It's a pretty straightforward ability. Unlike the dirt clones that are used by an unnamed sorcerer, it creates clones made from what appears to be dirt. You can overwhelm your opponent through sheer numbers. The clones can merge together when needed. One interesting application is hiding another sorcerer among the clones, which is how the next sorcery is able to get Chihiro. The next one being Psychological Induction, used by the Trauma Brothers. It's one of the most terrifying abilities we've seen so far. You get close to the target, you can force people to relive traumatic memories. We see this used against both Chihiro and Sojo. While it feels like hours to the victim, only about 4 seconds pass in reality. Those 4 seconds can usually be enough to immobilize an opponent, and the brothers can also track people through their brainwaves, making this ability useful outside of combat as well. Shortly after, we're introduced to the Regeneration Sorcery by Char Kyonagi. So it allows Char to heal both herself and other people. The ability activates through a desire for the pain to go away. While it seems simple on the surface, it's arguably one of the most valuable support abilities in the series. The Kyonagi clan was nearly wiped out due to rumors that consuming their flesh would grant immortality, so there's that downside. The next one is Engorged Arms. It's used by an unnamed sorcerer. Not much is known about the sorcery. We could just see that their arms get bigger, so they probably hit harder. Pretty simple. Besides that, we do also get the Chanting-Activated Projectiles. This sorcerer seems to use chants to activate projectile attacks. It appears to inflict slicing wounds, which we briefly see used against Azami. Unfortunately, we never really see any screen time to understand its capabilities, but there's a good chance that this ability can do more than it was shown. Then we have Koen by Soshiro Azami and the Azami clan. So this is an interesting one. It was originally developed as a home remedy. It regulates the body's electrical currents to relieve muscle tension, but Azami altered it in order to improve his blood circulation and greatly enhance his physical performance. It can also stimulate an opponent's muscle fibers. That kind of shocked them a little bit. I like how this one is a general buff for the user and a debuff for the opponent. If you've been enjoying the video so far, consider subscribing. There'll definitely be more Kagurabachi content on the way. Now let's continue with the breakdown. We have Gansui, which is used by Shiyumi Harima. It allows Harima to manipulate the terrain around her. She can create walls from the ground for defense, can also tear chunks of earth from the landscape and suspend them in the air. It's a very straightforward but effective battlefield control ability. And we have Enlarged Hands, used by Makoto Kashira. It allows Kashira to increase the size of his hands. Enlarged Hands can be used to deliver powerful physical attacks. He can also warp and distort them. We see him use this against Sojo as an attempt to force him to release his grip on Cloud Gouger. It's another simple ability that becomes much more useful through creative applications. Iron Transformation. We see this used by Hajime Kugara. It allows Kugara to transform parts of his body and clothing into iron. Most commonly, he sharpens his hands into blades. He also reinforces his mass using the same technique. The ability becomes even more dangerous when combined with Hagiwa's magnetism, which we'll get to. On its own, it's solid, but its synergy with Jikai is what really makes it great. Speaking of which, we have Jikai, used by Ikito Hagiwara. This is a magnetism-based sorcery that allows Hagiwara to attract and repel objects. See him use it to launch knives and other metal projectiles. One of its coolest applications was combining Sojo's lightning with Kugara's iron body to create an electromagnetic weapon that literally launched Kugara like a projectile. Hagiwara also hid iron sand in his allies' clothing, allowing him to move them around remotely. During his his fight with Sojo, he was supposed to die, but he was able to control this iron sand and get himself out. Hagiwara believes that Kagura had saved him, but he really saved himself. This pushed his sorcery to the next level by allowing him to control iron sand without him actively thinking about it. Similar to experienced fighters that they don't think about the punch they're going to throw, they just act on it. One of the coolest things I've seen him do is when he uses magnetism to almost like an MRI machine to track people throughout the Kabanabi headquarters. I really like Jikai because this is a powerful just magnetism ability that could be used in a variety of ways. Very fun. Then going from a fun to an underwhelming sorcery, here we have Plant Form. It allows the user to transform into a seed. This can be used to hide or ambush opponents by suddenly blossoming into their full form. The user also carries a massive sword and reinforces their grips on using vines. It's simple, but it's cool. Smoke Fist is used by this samurai helmet guy. It emits smoke from the user's arm. The smoke appears to propel their punches, increasing both the speed and power. It's simple, but it looks like a good close combat sorcery. Now this is the funniest one probably, because Demon Cloak, we see these guys that cover their heads with Oni masks. Unfortunately, Chihiro takes them out immediately, so we never find out what they do. Jobaku. It's used by Kiyohiko Uzuki. It allows the user to place 4 pegs around the target. Once established, the pegs can restrain and immobilize the victim. It's a very useful support ability that's designed to capture rather than outright beat them. We have Kaichi, Demon Monster. This is used by Kazane Machi. The exact mechanics of Kaichi remains unknown. We just know that he has to use his 2 hands and say Demon Monster. Besides that, we know that he was saved as the final weapon by the anti-Cloud Gouger force, and hopefully, I'm pretty sure we're going to get to see what it does. Now here we have one of the most iconic sorceries in Kagurabachi, Isou. It allows the user to create and manipulate shockwaves. These shockwaves can be used offensively or defensively. They can launch objects as projectiles. We see Tenri use Isou alongside Kyora's Storehouse to fire swords at Chihiro. Isou can also be used for mobility, launching the user through the air or allowing mid-air movement. Shockwaves can also slow down the opponent. It can also be used to cancel other Isou shockwaves, so that's pretty cool. It's a simple ability, but definitely enough if the user is creative. Here we have arguably the strongest sorcery in Kagurabachi, at least so far, is Flame Bone of the Starving, used by Hiyuki Kagare. So Hiyuki is often referred to as the strongest member of the Kabanabi. Flame Bone of Starving is a rare hereditary technique of the Kagare clan. The sorcery allows its user to wield portions of a massive flaming skeleton known as Rikyo. It's repeatedly stated to rival the power of the enchanted blade. So far, Hiyuki has only been granted permission to use up to the torso of the Flame Bone. There's even a belief that a baby Hiyuki with access to the Flame Bone could stop the Mikoboshi. Ribcage can be used defensively to protect Hiyuki, can also be used offensively by impaling opponents with the ribs. We have the hands that create massive flaming gauntlets, can punch the opponent directly, or can also be summoned remotely to strike targets. Finally, Spinal Column represents Hiyuki getting serious, at least according to Mihara. Mihara was worried about its destructive power that he immediately told Hiyuki to cancel it because his battle dimension was running out. Speaking of which, we got Battle Dimension. This is obviously used by Tafuko Mihara. It creates a pocket dimension centered around sumo wrestling. Once activated, neither participant can leave until someone is at least unconscious. It's simple, but it's just powerful when used in tandem with Hiyuki. Next one we have here is Storehouse, which is used by the Sazanami clan heads and Hakari. It's one of the strongest utility abilities we've seen in the series. Storehouse is a subspace created by the first head of the Sazanami clan. It can be used to store both objects and people. Normally, the next clan head must sacrifice their Isou to inherit Storehouse. The only known exceptions are the first head and Hakari. The user can register both items and people. Registered targets can be summoned or retrieved at will. We see Kyora use it to summon swords for Tenri. The user can also freely enter and exit the subspace. Storehouse users can apparently communicate with people registered within it. Kyora even weaponized the subspace itself during his fight with Chihiro. Seems to be a very taxing technique though. Then we have Ice Skin, who was the girl that Hakari was talking to. It gives the user extremely cold skin. We know that it can be used to soothe pain and injuries. We don't really get enough information to know its full capabilities. I do wonder if it's connected to the other ice ability too, but I'll talk about that when I get there. And we have the Prayer Beads. This is used by Izaru. It allows the user to create and manipulate prayer beads. It's primarily used to restrain opponents. It's a fairly straightforward support ability. Smoke Axe, this one's pretty cool, by Fushimi. It creates a horizontal cloud of smoke, uses that smoke to dash forward, powerful slashing attacks. It did manage to inflict a significant wound on a Detensky enhanced opponent. The next one we have here is Blood Crane, used by Hirohiko. It allows him to create and manipulate paper. The shape of the paper construct depends on how he positions his hands. He can sense through the paper he creates. The paper can be used for scouting, deception, cover, escape. Once a paper construct is launched, it generally becomes a one-time use attack. Yura specifically notes that Blood Crane isn't considered one of the strongest sorceries. What makes it dangerous is how Hirohiko used it. His skills and creativity allowed him to push the ability far beyond what most users would have been able to. It's a perfect example of a sorcery that's elevated by the user rather than the other way around. These next three are fan submitted fodder, but I thought it'd be fun to go over it too. Here we have body piece manipulation used by Kakai. It allows the user to dismember their own body into separate pieces. Those pieces can then be controlled independently. It sounds spooky but useful. Then we have body part exchanging used by Yomai. It allows the user to exchange a body part with an object they touch. The exact limitations are unknown, but that sounds pretty cool. And finally, we have needle sprouting used by Kiri Yashin. It causes nearby opponents to sprout needles. Those needles can then be launched at targets. Sounds pretty fun and pretty painful. The next one we have here is Twilight Wave used by Kuguri from the Ishaku. Stores heat generated by the user's body that heat can later be released in a powerful blast. It appears to have no storage limit. The longer it's held, the stronger it becomes. Kuguri stored heat for 7 months before releasing it. Besides that, it doesn't seem too powerful, just seems like a great diversion. Next we have Yellow Chains. This is used by the elder Shigyu brother. Very little is known about the ability, but just seems like you can create and manipulate yellow chains. Then we have Airborne Spikes used by the younger Shigyu brother. It creates spikes and launches them at opponents. Beyond that, the ability remains largely unexplored, but it works well with the brother that ties them up, and then from there he could hit him. Warrior's Path used by Kudo. We've only seen this used once, but it looks like one hand designates a target, and the other hand determines where the target will be moved. The ability seems to even work through walls. The sheer utility of this technique sounds pretty fun, but besides that, we only seen it used once, and after that, the Kudo dies. So then we have Transformation, pretty straightforward, unnamed sorcerer here. It allows the user to transform into another person. The condition required to activate the ability remains unknown, so who knows how strong this could be. The next one we have here is Koen, which is used by Yoji Uraha. This is the first time that we see a user that had the Enchanted Blade get back their sorcery. It allows the user to amplify a single physical attribute at a time, so you can use this to either boost speed, boost strength. It potentially has other applications depending on what counts as a physical attribute, but I think this was what made him a good candidate to receive an Enchanted Blade. We have Mako used by Bingo. It creates these lion dancer heads of varying sizes. These constructs possess extremely powerful jaws, and also has this cool thing where the more lion heads that are destroyed, the heavier their burden placed on whoever destroyed them. The user can also transform their own head and use it to eat people. The sorcery requires consumption to continue functioning, so you really gotta eat people to get this going. Easily one of the weirdest abilities we've seen, but I think it's still a pretty cool one. Then we have Lightning Menace, Raikou. This is used by Natsuki Misaka. It envelops the user's body in lightning, greatly enhances both speed and power. It even forced Hokuto to defend himself using his shields. Finally, we have Ice Manipulation used by Uran, another member of the Ishaku. It allows the user to freeze targets with ice, most commonly done by blowing freezing air. It can also seemingly freeze targets without direct breath as well. The ice can be shattered afterwards though. We haven't seen enough of Uran to fully understand the ability's limits, but it seems like a strong ice power, and if she's in the Ishaku, then it must be pretty good. Yeah, honestly, one of my favorite things about this series is how creative a lot of these abilities are. We have simple techniques like Koen and Lightning Menace, but then you have absolute insane abilities like Storehouse, Wake a Trick, Flamebone of the Starving. They seem to get more broken every time we learn something new about them. Of course, there's still plenty of mysteries left. We still don't know exactly what abilities like Kaichi do, and some people die before we get to see their sorcery, which sucks, but it happens. So let me know in the comments down below, what's your favorite sorcerer in Kagurabachi so far, and which do you think has the most potential going into part 2? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.